Hello, accelerators. Looking forward to your questions today. It on the sales front and just growing your business. So, first question I'm going to dive right into here is from Jennifer. Do you use an attorney for creating legal documents in the beginning, or is it okay to use some of these online services or templates I can find online? So, there are some really great resources online for templates, AI for writing policy, but any legal document that hasn't been reviewed by somebody who knows the implications has a bit of a risk. Even when you get a lawyer to review a document, there's still going to be some risk associated with it. You can still get sued no matter what. So, if you have the money, I would definitely recommend anything related to employment or contracts worth possibly tens of thousands for a client, or definitely hundreds of thousands. But anything related to employment, it's definitely worthwhile at least having your job offers reviewed by a local employment attorney. You should definitely, any long-term leases, you should get reviewed by a realtor who knows that space, and possibly a lawyer who knows leasing, right? So it is definitely worthwhile to make investments in lawyers. Just be quite frank with them. Say, I'm a small business planning to grow. How much would it cost for you to review this document? Definitely use templates, use ChatGPT to create some of the legal stuff that you need for your business, but it is definitely worthwhile to invest in getting a lawyer to review those documents and suggest improvements, because no documents are going to be perfect, but you also don't want to spend, if you're not making 10,000, 50,000 per month, you don't want to spend 4,000. If you're only making 10,000, don't want to spend 4,000 on legal documents. So definitely get a good small business lawyer on your side, even if you don't have a budget right now. Great person to network with. Find people in your network who know good lawyers who can you can consult with on an hourly basis, and see if they've got an entry point to try and get a little bit of advice, because you don't want to be spending $500 per hour for them to review documents for a contract that's less than $1,000 in value. But you do need to, as you scale up, as your risk increases, you do need to have a lawyer on your side. So definitely make the investment, especially if you're making tens of thousands per month, to find a good lawyer, get them on your side, and review documents that you've prepared or you've found some really good templates. It is worthwhile to have somebody on your side who knows your legal risks. All right, next question. It comes from Aaron. How do I reach and appeal to cash-rich, time-poor potential customer? So everybody is super busy. So I know Aaron's question. He's really trying to target his DNA testing service. Thinks it has a great benefit, especially for the ultra rich, the busy people who want to find solutions, be happier, healthier, and stronger. But even if our ideal customer profile is somebody who doesn't have a lot of money, their time is super swamped. My daughter's sick today. My wife has to get into work. I'm working from home in her office, not my office. I'm times I'm swamped. My wife is swamped. Almost everybody is. Even if you're a single person, you still have your phone blowing up. You might be doing online dating. You might be addicted to great things on television, or on TikTok. So everybody's going to be short on time. So you really got to be able to capture their interests quickly. In this case, Aaron has really tried to make an investment with an agency that's promised good results and really hasn't delivered in about 4 months. So the number one thing when I'm thinking about customers is I need to actually survey the ideal customer, right? So I need to talk to at least a representative sample, about 30 of them, find out where they're spending their time, where they're spending their money, and what kind of prompts them to spend money. What is the last purchasing decision they made related to what I'm selling? And that was really key in starting my business, because I probably made 50 phone calls and got 30 connects, both through emails and phone calls. And in this day and age, I'd recommend LinkedIn connections or follows, Facebook connections and follows. You really want to really try and connect with these people in as many ways possible. Try and text message them if you can find that, and just say, hey, I really like what you're doing uh, on Facebook or with your business or in your career. I'd love to jump on a quick call with you. I've just started this business. It's not a sales pitch, but I really like to research my ideal client, and it looks like you might be the type of person we would like as a client. So you can offer something for that time, but hopefully you won't. Because if your sales pitch is good enough, if you've got some exciting things about what you're selling, you could say, here are the three things about what I'm offering that I think would benefit people like you. Do you want to jump on a quick call? I really appreciate it. Hopefully they'll give you your time for free. Other times, if you're looking at a larger survey, you might offer a $20 Amazon gift card or a Starbucks card. I've definitely seen that. I don't know if you get better response rates, but if you can build a relationship, you've got enough of a value proposition to get somebody on the phone, do a Zoom with them or have a coffee with them. You can then ask those questions, right? When was the last time they bought something like what you're selling? Why did they buy it? What was their budget? How did they find out about it? So like really kind of dig deep into the buyer's journey with them. Um, I know Accelerators is going to have some surveys that you can use, but definitely just take a look at a survey. There's also some interesting techniques out there of like launching an Indiegogo, like a crowdfunding campaign to see if that can drive customers. You can get some cash rich people on those platforms as well. But also find groups, right? Facebook groups that rich people hang out in, local groups where rich people hang out in, and really, as you find one or two potential customers, find out where they spend their time. Right? Are they spending it on Facebook? Are they spending on TikTok? Are they spending on Instagram? Are they spending it on LinkedIn? I saw a friend. He's got probably a $50 million company now. And I saw he was online complaining about recent tax changes, right? So one of the ways you can interact with somebody like that a couple of times before you ask them is you can see them commenting on something on LinkedIn. You can like it and make another comment maybe somewhere else in the post or add to their comment, right? So it's a little bit of networking. In order to make a sale these days, you're supposed to do about 10 touches with a customer, right? So one of those might be a Facebook ad. One of them might be liking something that they post online. One of them might be sending them a direct message. So you got to think of marketing as being multi-touch, but also sales. You got to have a good value proposition that gets their attention. So I hope that's helpful. Happy to go over your strategy kind of live sometime as well. It's not easy to get busy people, but everybody's busy. I see so many people walking down the street wasting their time on social media, or they might have something really important they're looking at their phone, but everybody is busy. So we got to make sure we cut through the noise with better targeted advertising, but also finding out where people spend their time and why they get prompted to buy. All right, next question comes from Jamie Smith. So Jamie's got a broad question, looking for advice on how experienced business person can jumpstart getting better at business and overall life. So Jamie's in an interesting situation, both a baker and a licensed massage therapist. Likes both, wants to build both businesses, and currently pregnant and due in May. Congratulations. I don't know if this is your first child or your second, but if it's your second, you're in for a double life changing. It doubles the amount of work if you're a couple. So I wish you luck. If it's your first, savor it. That period of time where the kid, a child isn't running and stuff, it's amazingly hard, but amazingly precious, and it gets busier once they get up and running and walking and stuff. So enjoy this summer with your child. But feeling a little bit in limbo and about mapping out the future. One thing I would say is, close your eyes, take 5-10 minutes and imagine what future you want to have. Really envision it. So what do you want your family life to look like, and what do you want your business life to look like? And kind of reflect on that, and then take those businesses back and say, how am I going to get to that, both in 6 months, in 1 year, in 3 years, and 10 years down the road? Are both those businesses going to get me to that ideal life where it's either making a lot of money or working a certain amount? And what things you can do now to start to leverage that, right? So if you want to expand the bakery, how much money will you need? And work back from that to how you can get there. If you can use your massage therapy to get more revenue for your business. One of the things for massage therapy these days is there's lots of tools for people providing professional services like bodywork, where people can book online, pay in advance, get text message reminders, so you don't have to interact with your clients all the time. Some people are old school where it's like just write it in a book, the appointment, but I would definitely look at automation, sending out reminders to people who haven't booked a massage recently. I saw once driving down the road, do your benefits renew this month? Make sure to get your massage in before your benefits expire. So knowing when people's benefits expire and trying to get them in for a few more treatments before their annual health benefits expire can all be done through automation. So I know there's something specific that is good for the massage industry. I think it's called Jane is the app, but there's dozens of them. There might be some members on here who've got Go High Level who could resell you something fairly cheaply that will remind customers to use your services, so you can grow that portion of your business, especially with your best customers. The ones who show up on time, the ones who book often, and you don't have to chase down. On the baking front, definitely I've got customers who've got bakeries that do millions of dollars, so it's a great business. Capital and labor intensive though, right? And you're up against some really big national players. So be aware. How can you find a niche that works? Maybe baking some high-end fresh stuff, selling direct to some consumers or through an existing retail outlet. I know my friends had a very kind of bumpy start. They tried to do direct to consumer, and now they're 100% through retail. They're in Whole Foods and other retailers, but also they sell a lot to restaurants. Is there a niche like fresh bread that isn't being serviced for the restaurants in your community, right? If you can find a really high-end restaurant and there's nobody selling baked fresh bread every day, that could be an advantageous. Okay, thanks, hon. That's my daughter in the background letting me know. That's going to be a bit of your future, is having the kids. It's going to be a beautiful time, but it will stretch you. So also get some alternatives, right? Get another licensed massage therapist who can fill in for you if things on the birth don't go quite as well as you're envisioning. But birth is an amazing thing. It's a great journey. My wife and I had a great time both at the birth and afterwards for both of our children. So good luck to you, and yeah, definitely keep us updated on both businesses. It's great to have two and specialize on one, or use one to get revenue for the other one to really leverage it. How much time should I spend training my new personal assistant? So Kimberly hired a new assistant a week ago. Excited to get back to work to cover her salary comfortably. But she's struggling with some tasks like filling out contracts properly. So she spent the last week going over everything with her, but I want to know how to make it easier for her to understand. It seems simple to me, but I want to avoid spending too much time training her if I can't focus on making any money. So one of the ways that I recommend you train somebody is show them once, right? Do it once with them, and then have them do it alone with you watching, right? So 3 times max. But one of the ways you can also shortcut that is record how you do it. So if you're doing it on a desktop, there's lots of tools Loom is one of them. Vidyard, there's lots of tools that'll screen record what you're doing and record your voice with your face in one corner. So definitely recommend, if you're doing any task, is just record it, right? Like even if it's not something you do every day and you're doing it with a customer, say I'm having a call and I've got my headset on, I can just set up my iPhone to record it, right? And then send that and say, this is how I deal with a customer on this basis, right? So they've got a recording on how you did it, but meet with them afterwards and say, was there any questions about that video that I showed you? So if you can demonstrate, I know not all businesses can demonstrate using a desktop app like Loom, which is just a plugin and it shows what's happening on your screen and why and what you do. Otherwise, you can video it as you show them as well. So they have something to reference back to, right? I don't believe that you should be spending as a business owner, spending a lot of time writing policies and procedures, but you can record a Loom and then you can use AI to document that and then just edit it, right? So you can use ChatGPT you can upload your video and then it'll spit out a procedure based on that. And then you'll have to do some editing to make sure it really lines up with what you want. But also be careful, right? If somebody's really struggling, you got to wonder if they're the right who. And it's easier to break up with somebody if you've just been dating a few days or a few weeks than it is after a few months or a few years. So there's an expression, hire slowly, fire fast, right? So if you're sure you've shown this person something and given them reference material, you've got a recording of what they need to do right, and they're not able to do it, sit down and say, it looks like this is not working for you. Is there something I need to do to change it? When do you think we'll be able to get to where, you're filling out these forms 90%, or, I'm seeing this performance level? Because they want to succeed too. And if they're struggling, having a frank and open discussion early on is going to be important, right? And don't let these things drag on. I think it's really important that we don't let these things drag on for us as business owner and the employee. I've got a YouTube channel called Hiring and Firing, and firing is part of business. It happens, and it's not about the employee. It's not about you as a business owner. It's about not being a fit at this time, right? So definitely demonstrate, record, ask if they've got any questions, but really you need the who's going to get things done for you. The how, a really great person will eventually figure out, especially if you've demonstrated and you've given them a recording. So I hope that's helpful. And Kimberly's got almost the same question again. So I don't think there's any changes. Yeah, so I've got those two questions. Document the process, at least with a video. If you really want to get into it, use ChatGPT to create a documented process as well. Check out the checklist manifesto. That's a good one for getting people to follow procedures. People using checklists as aviators, as mechanics. A lot of people can improve their performance by doing checklists. So before I enter the day, have I done this, this, and this, right? And having them check it off themselves is pretty important, right? So hopefully your assistant really gets up to speed and helps take things off your plate. If not, it might be best to find somebody who can. Jeff, how do I balance the lowering of my personal income when hiring my first team member? So Jeff has been solo, and he's made over a couple $100,000, and his net has been really good. But he figures that he's going to have to give up some of his net to bring on somebody to help him. So the first thing I would think about is stop thinking about hiring your next person as an annual cost. What is it going to be monthly? What's going to be weekly? That hopefully can give you a bit of breathing room and say, where would spending, let's just say, $4,000, what would that free me up to do if somebody took on X, Y, and Z, and I was able to complete ABC more, right? If I was able to concentrate on those 20% of the customers who gave me the most revenue, how much more could I earn on a monthly basis, right? So if I'm making that investment in somebody else, what's going to be the payoff, right? And it might not pay off in month one. So I would definitely recommend, you might be looking at 2 months, right, before you actually get that payoff. So really, sorry, just checking my battery there on my laptop is not quite charging as much as I'd like. Oh, there we go. So really be thinking, if I'm going to spend $4,000 a month on an assistant or a second person, am I going to be able to make 5,000 or 6,000 in month 2, month 3? And if you can see, spending 4,000 a month is going to get you 8,000 in month 3. That's great. And make sure you're sticking to that plan, right? Because it might not be the right person or might not be the right time to bring on somebody. But if you can think about it in that first 3 months, if I can get that person up to speed, how much more money can I make, right? I think that's super important. And if it's a role where it's almost doubling your revenue, you've got more leads coming in than you can handle, and they're going to be delivering. I think it's going to be a great investment, but you need to be able to see that payoff. And one of the ways to kind of get to that payoff a little bit earlier is to hire somebody part-time. I remember one of the things I did is I got a shared office space where they answered the phone for me, right? And I had actually a meeting at the provincial level, the state level, where it was an interview, but I got a picture with the health minister, right? The minister and me, another decision maker, great PR, and I didn't even have to facilitate it, right? The admin person at the office building handled it for me, said yes, and I let them know anything related to PR or any incoming calls from newspapers. Definitely, I'm interested in meeting. And they were able to book that for me. Where if I was trying to answer my cell phone while I was out with a client, it wouldn't have been good for the client, would have been good for me. So what can you carve off that'll help leverage, right? Is there automation that you can have? Are there different tools out there that can help you really get to that extra level where hiring somebody is really going to pay off, right? Rather than hiring somebody to do admin work, which you could automate. So hope that gives you some food for thought, Jeff. Great that you're moving, you're killing it, getting over a couple 100,000, right? If you can get up to where you're able to produce 350,000 and you're only paying out 50,000, that's a huge jump from 200,000, right? 200,000 to 300,000 and you're only paying out 50,000 to that person. Yeah, huge increase if you can get there, but don't worry about the annual salary as much as the monthly salary, because that's what you're going to be paying out every month or every 2 weeks or bi-monthly, right? What is the process to acquiring a business partner, and when is the right time to bring on a business partner? So this is a good question here coming from Kelly, a general engineering company in Northern California. So he's got some great big government and state projects, and looking at kind of really growing the business. So when to bring on a partner? I think the best time to bring on a partner is when you've got an opportunity that you cannot leverage yourself, right? So if you're giving up a portion of your business, bringing on an investor, you've got a great opportunity that you can't fund yourself, and maybe you can. I would definitely think positive, think about how you can grow things, build relationships with people who might be willing to invest without you giving up ownership stake, right? So if you've got a potentially $1 million or $5 million project and you need 3 pieces of equipment for it, now might be a really good time to go to those equipment vendors, to go to people who would make investments on that one project, right? So, but if you have a way to leverage somebody's investments and move from making, say, 300,000 a year in profit to over 500,000 a year in profit, and be able to pay out 100,000 of that, that kind of 10%, that's a great time to ask for an investment, right? Because if you can give somebody a good return on investment and grow things, so grow your net by 100,000 for yourself, and also give an investor 100,000, and maybe it's a $400,000 investment, but you really got to map out why this person is investing in the business, and it's how it's going to help you, but how it's also going to help the business, and not just a one-time thing, right? If you're looking at a one-time partnership, you should be able to borrow that money. That would be my recommendation. Try not to borrow money, or try not to give up equity in your company in order to get through a project. It has to be hopefully an investor who's going to be hands-on, who's going to take stress away from you, who's going to bring both contacts and resources that you don't have or you're not a specialist in. So, map it out so it works financially, but also from a personal standpoint. Partnership agreements, selling shares in a company to another person are not easy and shouldn't be taken on lightly, but are definitely worth it. I've got a good friend who is a partner in his company, sold for, well over, I think it was well over 50 to 70 million dollars, right? And he definitely felt he wouldn't have been able to do that alone, right? And I've never had a full partner in my business, but I've definitely had people I would consider if they were going to make the right investment and we had the right path, right? So that's something to consider. How much more will you be able to grow with the right person or the right investors? Because some investors are also not the right partners. I definitely know other business owners who've had partners who detracted from their business overall and their experience with the business, right? You want positive, check the references, meet other people they've invested in, and make sure you know their reputation, because money looks wonderful, but it comes with strings attached, and you want to make sure those strings don't become handcuffs. All right. Really appreciate all those questions, and I hope I was able to get to them. If you didn't catch something or want more information, Sean's an amazing resource, and definitely ask people in the group as well, right? Because we've got lots of expertise, people who dealt with this stuff before, already growing their businesses and killing it. Thanks. Have a great day.